Thanks, Val.
And then the second one is the big paper with the graphs, which is our trend report. Most of you are familiar with it. So this first report is something I created this year based on some feedback that we received last year. It incorporates the budget, the trend for the budget of the district since 2017. Then the second portion includes the apportionment for each of the towns, again from 2017 to 2025. Then it has the tax rate per town, then the valuation per town, and the ADM per town. So last week we received the last tax rate for our four towns. The tax rates are as follows. Atkinson, 12.82. That's a decrease of 0.8% in 2025. Danville has a tax rate of $22.84. That is an increase of 3.3% from the prior year at $22.11. Plasto has a tax rate of $14.44. That's a decrease of 30.3% from $20.72 the prior year. Plasto was had their valuation this year. Sundown has an increase of 0.5% to $17.80 from $17.72. In the second report, you can see the trends in the graphs, where those are more visual. Again, keeping it from 2017 to 2025, and it's broken down between the county, the municipal, the education, the local education, and the state education tax rate. And then you have the total tax rate. So again, just same information separated in different ways. So for everybody's first. The second point that I wanted to bring up is we had the federal grants audit from the state. This happened about a month ago. There were only a couple of findings, very not significant findings. One was actually in the system. We had to put a note in our POs, said that we prefer US products or other products. So we did that. We work with the system. Lisa helped me to work with IV. That is the system that we use, and we included the disclosure in our POs. And the other finding was with some of the time reports for staff, because they were to June 30th, but they were signed before June 30th. So they didn't want them to be signed before, because the teachers leave before June 30th. So we corrected. Everything was corrected, all the findings were corrected, but overall they said we had a very good process. We're monitoring our grant funding very closely, so I think it was a successful audit as well.
Thanks for that. Just to remind the committee, that's about $1.2 million in federal grants. That's part of that audit type of process right there. The third quick hit we wanted to give you is to remind the folks that we are applying for the SAFE grants. If you remember when the Director of Technology was here in that budget presentation, where things put forward for intercom systems and at the main campus, and also additional cameras, these SAFE grants work on the front end of things. So we need to be appropriate and spend the money. And then if we are awarded the grants, those things come back on the back end. So reminding the budget committee, it's in the operating budget, but we're looking for additional revenue to offset that through the grant writing process. 4 other quick hits that are going to come to you this evening or early tomorrow morning via email from me to you. There are 4 things I want to keep you up to speed on, and I want to give you those primary source documents. The first is a technical advisory. This is put out by the New Hampshire Education Department every so often. This one's going to focus on RSA 193:1. It's specific to the education freedom accounts. Again, families that can go to the state of New Hampshire and get a lump sum of money in exchange for not attending those public schools. There's an advisory out now from the department about how school districts should look to govern those students and those funds, and whether there's tuition charged to come to the district or not. But that technical advisory will serve, I think, for some policy development in the district. It's there for you for review. Number 5 is the SAU consolidation report. We've updated you folks here that there's been ongoing conversations at the state level, committee work, studying the consolidation of SAUs. meaning that the number of SAUs would shrink and those school districts would become larger and larger, potentially county-based school districts. That study committee has issued its final report. I will share that primary source document for you to review as well. Number 6 is the tax committee subcommittee report of the school board. We've briefed you on that before. Last meeting here, I read the concluding sentence to that report. I do want to put the full report in front of you. That document will be in your email as well. And lastly, last school board meeting, I presented to the school board about the fiscal impact of moving to full-day kindergarten. I'm going to include that full presentation for the budget committee as well. The concluding thing, the big picture for you folks to understand, is that cost item was identified at $271,000 if the district moves there within its next year. I have a charge from the school board to report on the November 20th meeting about the appropriate and viable pathway there. So I will be presenting that methodology to the board on November 20th. In terms of some follow-up to requests from budget committee members over the past, we had a request to add a column for the 25 voted budget. You should see that reflected in your paperwork there tonight. We also had a request for 2 counts, the count of Title I students across the district and the count of McKinney-Vento or homeless students across the district. I can present those to you this evening. In terms of Title I counts, we've got 2 elementary schools who qualify for those funds, Stanville and Pollard, and there's a total of 81 students identified at the elementary level from those schools. None at the middle school, none at the high school. And in terms of McKinney-Vento, we're giving you a district number of 15 students that currently qualify for benefits and services under the McKinney-Vento Act. The 4th request we had was to give an update on some student family field trip needs. If you remember, we made some reductions to the budget with regards to funding field trips across the board for folks. There was an inquiry here about how many students this year needed financial assistance and at what cost. Fact finding with the schools here, we've had 0 students at elementary so far this year need financial assistance and 0 at the high school. At the middle school, which you know that we do large trips at the beginning of the year with all grade levels there, we had 22 6th graders in need of funds, 38 7th graders, and 50 8th graders. Each of those trips was valued at approximately $50 a trip. So you can see a grand total there of $5,500.
So one trip or multiple trips a year?
One trip. This is for one field trip.
One field trip.
One field trip.
Well, the 6th grade take a separate trip, the 7th grade take a separate trip, the 8th grade take a separate
Correct.
trip. Yeah.
Okay, but there's no more other than that.
There,
At the moment.
there's always more field trips and smaller things, Sheila. In terms of the generalized access for, like, this is what we're going to do as a grade level. These are those trips. There will be other smaller trips from classes.
But that's what I'm
Yes.
asking. So is that number greater? Because you're doing that one day trip at $50, but there may be other little trips that, again, these kids can't do.
Potentially. Yeah, if they're involved in a club, they're involved in something specialized, if they're in an elective class that's going to be taking a trip that has a cost, these students, I think, that would need support for this trip, I think we could likely assume would need support for those trips as well.
But we don't have a number for those alternative
We don't
trips.
know yet,
I'm giving you the real numbers that have gone on so far this year.
because these all took,
These are
just happened.
these trips
Yeah,
happen.
these are the adventure lords and all that. I understand that. But for instance, I can't remember what they did in 6th, 7th, and 8th if they went on field trips.
6th
But
grade, they go to Camp Lincoln, or they did.
they
Camp
did,
Lincoln.
but now they do Adventure Lore or whatever
Camp
it is.
Lincoln
Camp Lincoln
is
still
the
there.
universal trip for 6th graders.
Camp Lincoln is the trip.
It's still in.
Still in.
7th grade is.
7th grade is, I believe, Adventure Lore, and then 8th graders, we actually contract with folks to come to
to
our
them.
campus and deliver team building activities with the 8th grade class.
The other thing is we're just in November, so all the other field trips that are coming
No, I
up-
understand, but I'm trying to base off of, I was hoping to base off of last year to give us an idea of what we need.
Well, last
Last
year
year
we
was
were
more
paying.
funded, yeah. It was
We
more
were
funded by
funded.
the school district last year.
Last year was funded. So this is the first year that we don't have funding for the field trips. So far, this is what they have shown. But a lot of the field trips also happen in the spring.
I'll be honest, I'm caught off guard with the elementary.
They haven't had field
They
trips.
haven't
They haven't had field
Not
trips
yet.
yet.
They
At
usually
least
take
Danville
theirs
hasn't
later.
had any yet.
Because I would expect that 81
It would be end of the year.
Which probably will be.
in 15 too.
Yeah, once they.
Or those parents won't reach out and the kids will miss the field trip and they'll keep them home so
We
that
could
they don't
also-
be embarrassed.
We could
Sometimes that
also go
happens
back,
too.
if it's the wish of the committee, we could project at the next committee meeting. We can look out for you if you need that, but I think reporting the actual numbers is what I wanted to concentrate on.
That's what I asked for. Thank you.
Well, I think too, it might be different if you have a field trip that's, you know,
Excuse me?
maybe $5 or $10, someone might be able
That's
to
just-
pay it.
Question.
Is it, are my eyes deceiving me, or are the number of students requiring help going down pretty linearly from 8th grade to 6th grade? And do you think that'll continue on next year?
I don't have a rhyme or
the
reason
other
for
way
you, Peter, why those numbers are falling they are. Your observation that, yeah, the need increases as the kids are older, that's borne out in this one set of data for sure.
It's something to look at next year.
Good
And,
point.
and then why is that happening if it continues to be a trend?
Any
Um,
further questions on that or?
Title I, to determine is it based on like free lunch application?
Free reduced predominantly.
Am I right or wrong to assume that often in the middle school and high school level, less forms come back? Like, so maybe those same kids that qualified in elementary school, I think the principal of the high school said that before, that many kids might qualify, but they're not filling out those forms.
I think that's
Right.
across the board. Yeah, you
Okay.
will see a reduction in the stages as kids go through school in terms of the number of things we get back.
Yeah.
Free reduced lunch forms or otherwise.
Yeah, anything for.
Any forms?
Yeah.
There was also an additional request, and it wasn't specific, but Sheila, you had raised this at the last meeting. And in talking with Maria and Ginger, they finally were able to speak to me so I could understand the question. So I'm really hoping that I've got some information tonight that helps clarify that conversation from last week. So last week, Sheila was inquiring about what's the relationship and balance between the contracted services and the potential personnel that are in the budget. Hearing that, this is what I went back and we were able to gather, and I'm going to walk you through this right now. Currently, right now, we've got, you're not even looking at what I'm looking at. We've got 54.9 special education contracted service FTEs today happening in the district. What I went and did with Ms. Drexel is on the left-hand side, you see the title of the special ed position. Then the column to the right, contracted services. These are the number of FTEs currently working in these areas. As an example, I want to focus on speech and language because I think it's the most illustrative right now. Currently in speech and language, we are contracting with 11.0 FTEs. Next column over, Timberlane Regional School District. We employ 3.0 FTEs for speech and language pathologists. That gives us, in very simple math, a grand total of 14 FTE positions in speech language. We have 9 FTE positions of speech and language in the school district budget. So I'm showing you on the right-hand column, I think this is what you were getting to last meeting, Sheila, is the FTE differential, blue in the positive, about more than what's in the personnel budget, red in the negative, about what's less than what's in the personnel budget.
I think what I was getting at is that in your budget, you have 9.
9 special education speech and language pathologists.
Correct.
Yes,
In the budget.
yes,
That's what you budgeted for.
100%.
But if I'm looking at this clearly, you have 14.
We got 14. Now, in speech contracted services, there's money there that we also budgeted for speech and language
No,
services.
I understand.
Yeah.
But that's what
hear
I
you.
was asking is
100%.
why all of a sudden did that number go from here to here? Where, because if you look at the pattern, it's pretty even. And then all of a sudden last year it blew. That's why I was asking. So we're not budgeting for the people that we actually need.
This is telling me there is more need than we're currently obligated to deliver to the kids right now than what's in the budget.
That's what I'm
100%
asking.
True, Sheila.
So with those transfers, that money's coming out of other lines
Yep, and I'm going to show you
to
that.
cover
a
it in,
second,
not
too.
only, but
Yep.
not only salary lines. it's not just salary lines, there's other lines that are going in that are filtering through. And I guess what I'm trying to do is make it so that Lisa over here doesn't have to make 14 pages of transfers to make that budget work so that the numbers are more in line with what is needed.
Could I give you
That's where I'm going.
Yep. Could I give you an example with the paraeducators right here? Let's look at this row. We're contracting with 36 of them. In Timberlane, we employ 61. There are 27 open and vacant positions that you will soon see will be part of a budget transfer to the school board on November 20th to exhaust those positions, to bring it to the 88 that's in the budget. No room left. We have 36 additional paraeducators working with kids. To your earlier point, the need is great. It surpasses what is in the current budget.
But it happened in a 2-year span.
Right, and we did.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that it couldn't be predicted because it jumped in that 1-year span. So what I'm getting at is, let's fix it. Fix it so that you have the money where you need the money, not necessarily in the other lines.
I don't think it's a matter of putting money in a different spot. I think it's a matter of saying, do we have enough money in the bucket to begin with? Again, this is showing
But you had
there's
money,
more need here than what is currently budgeted.
understood, but you're pulling money from other lines that are over budgeted, that are going into other places to cover those needs.
Correct.
Okay, so if
And
you're,
we're still
say
short.
you're,
And even doing that, you're short.
Correct.
no, not last year you weren't. This year might be a different story, but last year you were not. What I'm saying is if you have an extra $40,000 sitting in telephone, all the telephone lines, let's say, I'm gonna break it down to, let's say $37,000 you had extra. Then maybe you take 15,000-20,000 out of there because you're moving it every year and put it where you need it. I mean, you leave some in there for rate hikes, but you move it to where you need it now,
Well, that's, yeah.
not
that's-
during the year, so that when you're budgeting, you're actually looking at an actual, you're fixing the spots. There's 14 pages of transfers, you're fixing the spots that have a little extra money here that you need to move into something else. So fix them before.
That's what we try to do every year. July is hard because by the time this budget gets used, it's a year and a half later. And it's the needs of a district this size are not always the same. As you see, they're not the same every year. So we try our best.
No, I
And
understand that.
again, you have 12 different people that are budgeting for certain lines, like technology budgets for the lines.
I guess what I'm looking at is the stuff that is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at it 2 years in a row. There are some consistencies.
And I
So-
hope that this level of detail helps this group kind of think about this
Now, are we
topic
getting
and-
this in an
and
email
plan
also?
for- I will follow up with this in an email for
Thank you.
sure. No
Sheila,
problem.
the other thing, part of it too, if we do make that transfer, like you said, the salary lines, if we exhausted them and didn't budget the lines and you're not talking about salary lines, okay? It's everywhere else that we're transferring from.
There's
I wanna make
There's
sure we can
spots.
still recruit
there's
those
little spots that
positions.
happen every year that is being transferred. And it just seems to me that it could be corrected.
I think we understand the point here.
So these,
Question?
Yeah, so let's take the speech and language budgeted number as an example. You've got 9 in there. How is that calculated? Is that based on number of students that are
the 9 FTEs in the budget,
correct?
that is a result of reducing through the last budget cycle 2 speech and language pathologist positions. And we move that money into contracted services because we have not been more than hired 3 bodies in our own district. Yeah, 9 is projected, but to Maria's point, that's projected 10 to 22 months before the kids are in front of us. Those needs change. Clearly with speech and language, they've changed.
Yeah.
Right?
And speech and language is often, those services are often applied to the newest learners in the district, right?
Okay.
Those kids that are really little and go through early intervention and end up in preschool with speech services. So you don't know, you don't have that history yet to be able to forecast how many children are going to be coming to school that need those services.
Yeah.
The other thing too is keep in mind that we had to eliminate 58 positions out of the budget. So we don't have 58 positions in the budget that we knew we needed, but we had to eliminate it as part of the budget reduction. So there were 58 positions that had to go.
So Karen, these were 5 things that came to us from budget committee members that we've responded individually, but we wanted the entire committee to have the same information, and that's that 5 summary there.
Super helpful.
I do want to preview 3 things coming up for this group that I think are germane for the next school board meeting. The first is the budget transfer that I've alluded to. Is on the 20th, we will be recommending to the board to make a budget transfer. It will take from personnel salaries and move to contracted services. It'll be in the amount of $1.5 million, as we have a very tight understanding of what our contractual needs are from now to the end of the year. It's going to exhaust 36 positions and will leave 0 positions open and vacant in these 3 areas. We're going to move 3 psychologist positions to contracts, 6 speech and language positions to contracts, and 27 paraeducator positions to contracts. This is not to put money in a place that we may need it. We are under contract for these funds. We know we're going to need it. We know they're going to be expended with the 54.9 people I showed you on the last slide. The second thing I want to preview for the 20th is that we're going to be going over again the fiscal dashboard. This will give the real fiscal picture of health in the district as of the end of October. And we're going to add a segment for the school board this week in every successive meeting moving forward. And we're going to go through a cash flow report with the board as well. Please tune in and listen to that. The third thing we'll present to the school board on the 20th is the default budget. Typically, we would do that first. We felt it was really important for you guys to have this number tonight as we are presenting the proposed budget, and that comes into shape. They are related. We will be presenting a default budget that's going to be about $90.5 million to the school board. It's about an $8 million increase from the previous voted budget, and it is a 9.9% increase. I hope that gives you context for the proposed budget that you see tonight. The proposed budget. So before we get there, there's a couple of facts that I just wanted to be really clear about with this group and the general public. The proposed budget in front of you is going to stand at $92,098,476. That includes the capital reserve piece. That's a total increase of close to $10 million or 11.9%. I want to clearly recognize that millions of dollars of increase and the percent increase is in stark contrast to what the voted budget came out of in 2025. I am concerned of the district moving forward in some cyclical fashion where we have proposed budgets that have these large increases that are primarily contractually driven. And then we get to a point where we are eliminating those increases and doing it in a way that is doesn't really disrupts the district's ability to plan thoughtfully forward. Tonight, we're going to present to you 16 categories of adjustments that we can walk through. Of the about $10 million increase, these are the 3 big buckets. $7.2 million of it is people, salaries, benefits, and contracted services. You will see contracted services show up in the operating portion of the budget. We are all well educated enough to know now that those are people for us. We just reviewed the 54.9 of them working across our district. $1 million increase is transportation, and there's about $1 million of an increase for phase 4 that was most recently approved by the school board for the lease improvement projects. So, the proposed budget you see is going to support the current operations of the district. if you think about what the default was and you think about what the proposed is, it's not a carbon copy of the school district moving to the next year, but it's not asking for any additional staff. And it's basically moving into next year our current operations from this year. Here is the question, I think, for the budget committee to take exceptionally seriously this year. If the committee wishes to reduce the fiscal 27 budget, then it will need to make determinations that fundamentally change how the district operates in terms of personnel and programming. To this end, if the budget committee wishes to explore some of those potential areas, these are the areas that I would encourage you to look at and delve deeper into about potential reductions, if that is your wish. I think we could look at transportation. I think there's two significant things we could potentially do there. I think we could have regional stops in towns, so kids are walking longer to the bus stop. We have gravitated toward almost kind of front door service for students and families, and maybe that's what we move away from. I also think we could revisit the minimum standard set by the state of New Hampshire. There's a 2-mile distance. Right now, we transport kids well within 2 miles of school. So those are things that we could maybe look at more depth about transportation. We could look at the administration across the district, both in the buildings and at the district level, and the budget committee could consider the minimum standards of administration. I've mapped those out for the school board. I'd be happy to do that again here for the budget committee. We could look at elementary, and we could look to consult with the school board and potentially increase class size, which would allow us some staff reductions. We could also look at regular education paras we have working in our elementary programs that are not required. They're not in the minimum standards. They provide a great lot of service and benefit to kids, but that could be a value conversation this committee can have. We could look at extracurricular, which would include athletic, music, and theater, and all of our school-based clubs. Those are, again, salary stipend positions. We could look at capital. We could potentially push and reconsider for the school board to reconsider what they have previously voted on. Potentially, there's ways to spread that out over time. Maybe we're engaging with our bank and we're talking about when that payment is actually due, so we need to appropriate it from the voters. Maybe also this group wants to take a look at the CIP list that is conditionally approved and look at that project list to make some determinations of whether it will all move forward. We could look at secondary school and look at the number of electives we have for students there and standardize the process towards graduation so they have less choice. We could also look at class size at the secondary level as well for those standardized courses that are required for graduation. We could also look at specialists across the district. We have personnel that are not front-facing with students necessarily on our maintenance and IT teams that are responding to tickets and service calls in schools. And we also have a group of specialists on our instructional front that really are responsible and key components of our intervention program for students when we are flagged when they need addition and support. Again, outside of the minimum standards, things that are not required by the law, that we could have conversations about whether we value them here in Timberlane and want to move forward. It was important for Marie and I to put forward to the committee, one is the recognition of where we're at with the increase, and two, if this group of folks is interested in reducing the budget, we felt at least right now tonight, you've got some large areas with some more detail there to understand impact if you wanted to ask us moving forward to bring anything back here that is a more detailed level. And Karen, that is it for me tonight, but I'm certainly happy to entertain questions, discussion.
I'd suggest you move music from extracurricular to secondary electives, because those are in the main graded classes.
Right.
Those aren't after-school non-graded clubs.
Absolutely, Peter, and I think there's two of them there, right? Like there's classes during the day, but there are extracurricular things around music and theater and athletics. I'm hoping
theater and athletics for sure.
Yeah,
But
I'm hoping I captured both of them. So when I'm looking at electives at secondary, music is one of those electives. Okay, all encompassing.
Questions, discussion?
Are we going through line by line? Or are we just,
Yeah, I'm gonna.
want me to whip it out right now?
No, I think we should stick to the agenda.
Okay. Okay, I've already looked at all this, that's why.
So I'm just gonna sort of speak up really quickly, and read this, and sort of being here for a couple of years, and after witnessing, what happened at deliberative last year, I think if we're gonna ask for any reductions, we need to be very thoughtful in what we're asking, and maybe take a minute and really tell us, if you're gonna ask for a reduction, tell us where you think it should be. I feel really strongly that I do not want to reduce services for children in our district, personally. And I just, it's hard for me to imagine increasing class sizes, letting go of another 35 positions, paras. These are all really important things. These things that enrich our children's lives. I personally, hope that we'll be thoughtful in our process here. Because it's not just a number. These are real people. The majority of this budget is salaries and services for children. So what's next?
We got reports of the committee.
Here we go. Do we have, I actually went to the CIP meeting this week. It was productive. They just sort of prioritized some things coming up this year, move some things off of the list that don't hit the monetary threshold, and kind of push some things out a few years. Really quick, nice and easy, really interesting meeting. I'd never gotten to go to one before, so that was that.
No, nothing, just the board is aware of everything Mr. Krieger has gone over, and we're just monitoring the situation.
Perfect. And we have some new business. Position requests, yes?
Position requests. I can talk through those. The first is going to be a special education request for additional days. I believe that these are in your packets. What do you have in your packet as the first one? What's the title there? Out of district coordinator. We'll start with that one. I know everyone here can read, but essentially summarizing what's there for you in terms of the rationale. District employs one out of district coordinator. This person oversees and serves as the LEA for all of our out of district placements. These are placements that the district places students at. These are also placements where parents self-select and potentially their students in need of identified services that we are required to provide out there. What we had learned this last year is that the predominant caseload of this coordinator's students also is required to do ESY or extended school year programming. Having this person over the summertime would be a great benefit to those students and families and allow touch points that for our most vulnerable population of students. So in terms of increasing that contract, we feel in terms of despite where we are budget-wise, we're not bringing a single additional position. This is a position that we would like to increase its capacity to serve kids and families.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did someone have a question?
Sue first.
Sorry, Sue, my eyes.
That's okay,
I have to
honey.
put my glasses on.
I wanted to ask, is this an in-house person or could this be a remote person
It's absolutely an in-house person
in-house?
on our staff currently.
I know this is a valuable position. My niece works in one of the schools that we outplace our kids to, and she's had a lot of interaction between what she does at her school and what happens here, and that it's important to have that communication back and forth. So, and someone who's knowledgeable about needs.
Excellent. Go ahead, Sheila.
Did you need an MOU for this with TTA?
We've engaged with the union about it.
So you have an understanding with them?
They have an understanding of our need. And
I
they have an
underst-
understanding that we were going to bring this request here today.
This one is we only have one of these people.
Correct. It's a singleton.
Okay. I'm looking at the next one that's going.
So this position would serve students K to 12 across our district.
K through 12.
And Karen, we can do them one at a time, or I can kind of roll through the descriptions
I
for the
say
other
roll
three.
on through.
Okay, I'm assuming the next one on your in your packet's a TTA sped facilitator?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Unlike the out-of-district coordinator, these are not singletons. There are 5 of them that work across our district. These are positions that were newly repurposed as of last year. We've got one based on each of our elementary schools, and we have one based at our high school. These positions were repurposed to primarily draw the administrators away from being the LEA so they could administrate their building and have one single person who is the touch point for identified families in each of our buildings. These facilitators act as schedulers. They are the coordinators and serve as the LEA, so they are the district voice in terms of fiscal purchasing and commitments for the district at these meetings. They are the one single point of contact for families. They primarily do the scheduling and coordination of all related services and special education programming in the building. What we had found this year, coming into our first year with it, is prepping the year for some students is really difficult. Having these folks maybe potentially come in some days before the school year begins and potentially staying after the school year ends, we think could really be a benefit from tightening kids' schedules up, having some students coming into the building to acclimate to the vicinity before they're kind of technically able, or doing some kind of follow-up stuff in the summer, helping to transition ESY. So unlike the out-of-district coordinator, which we were looking to increase by 30 days, we are asking for a up to 10-day increase for each of these 5 positions. And lastly, Karen, outside of the special education vein is the single senior technology specialist. The individual specific here, some background, these folks these folks in the past were non-affiliated. They very recently had joined a current collective bargaining agreement. This is one of the years that we're looking to make a salary adjustment for this individual in this position. You can read Mr. Henderson's kind of rationale here about assumed responsibilities for tech programs and techs across the district, and clearly align the responsibilities of a senior tech specialist in terms of where this salary lies versus people in the same unit doing the same job. So we're making this request for you for a salary adjustment. And those are the 3 budgetary additions for salary, Karen, that we would be bringing forward this year.
Excellent. Sheila?
I wish this form said additional funds instead of request for new position. That's my first thing. My second thing is, why on the second one, the sped facilitators,
Yes.
the 5 of them, is there not an hourly rate? You have one for everybody else.
Because they are different hourly.
They're
Yeah,
different
and it
hourly
does-
rates.
Okay.
It does say the total salary.
total
No,
amount.
I understand that, but if you look at the 3 of them, this is the only one that
All
doesn't have
5
an
of
hourly
them
rate.
have different hourly rates. That's the reason why.
My third question is, does this include the step raise that they would receive that year in the union? Or is this above and beyond the step raise?
So it is calculated for the ones that we do have a contract, it's calculated on the 27 rate. So TTA is calculated on the 27 rate, the rate that they will be in 27.
Thank you. So it includes the step.
The answer is yes.
The only
Okay.
one that doesn't is the technology because we do not have a contract with technology.
not a-
So the increase there is what we have right now in negotiations, but is not for sure rate. An estimate.
Excellent. Moving on.
And then Maria's gonna walk us through the actual proposed budget, and we'll start talking through lines and bigger pieces.
So first, if you wanna start with this one, which is like the 30-foot view of the budget, we have 44.9% of our proposed budget is salaries, that's $41.3 million. 26.2% of our budget is benefits, that's $24.1 million. And 28.9% of our budget is operating, which is $26.6 million. So as Mr. Krieger said before, our budget is mainly personnel and benefits. With that said, we can move into this large paper that has the
Should see the red number 16 off to the left-hand margin.
mhm. So we are starting with the fiscal year 2026 voted budget. That was $82.3 million. And I'm gonna start going down the list with the explanations that we have for each. So the first line is salaries, $2.17 million. That increase is basically the increase per TTA for our teachers. That is CBA. We have a contractual obligation for that. We have the CBA for our custodians. Again, it's a contractual obligation for the custodians. And then we have the cafeteria workers CBA, which another contractual obligation. There is a decrease in paraeducator salaries because we did change the methodology for vacant positions. This came out as a result of our negotiation team. What the school board members in the negotiation team decided is that we will try a new approach of budgeting for all vacant positions at the average salary of the positions that are currently filled. So we took an average salary of all the positions that are filled, and that's the scale that we use for all vacant positions. So now all vacant positions are budgeted at the same rate based on that, on an average of actual positions filled. So that generated a decrease in paraeducator salaries. This includes the increase for non-affiliated employees, increase in substitute salaries compensation, because we have seen a trend of increase in substitute salaries. So we are foreseeing that increase and covering for it. The second line is the benefits. The benefits increase is $2.8 million. That $2.8 million is increase for the health trust, which is our medical and dental insurance for our employees. That is almost $2 million of the 2.8. Increase for Primex for unemployment and workers' compensation. The FICA adjustment for the projected increase in salaries. The New Hampshire retirement system adjustment for the projected increase in salaries. And is the restatement for the fiscal 2026, we got some of our tuition reimbursement as part of the budget cut. So we are restating that amount. The third line is contracted services. That is a $2.3 million increase. And it's primarily due to sped professional services that are required for us to provide to our children. Number 4 is repair and maintenance. Repair and maintenance is an increase of $31,000. Again, just rates that increase annually in the contracts that we have for repairs. Number 5 is transportation. The increase in transportation this year is due to 2 things. One is the regular annual increase that we have per contract, and the other one is $500,000 that we took out of the 2026 budget due to the $9.5 million cut. That was one of the areas that we took a risk and cut. The next one is our insurance. Number 6 is just the property and liability insurance, the $15,000 increase. Number 7 is tuition for vocational or other LEAs. That is a $30,000 increase. is an amount that we are required to budget for students attending other districts. Number 8 is the tuition out of district. This line decreased due to the students that we are trying now to keep in-house with the programs that we're implementing. So that's giving us a decrease in our budget. Number 9 is supplies. It's just the increase mainly to reinstate what principals had to cut in the budget in 2026. They're asking for those funds back to be able to buy the supplies that they need at the schools. Number 10 is utilities. It is a reduction of $90,000 due to savings and offset by the increase in rates. So we have a decrease due to the improvements that we have done, but obviously the rates have increased at a faster pace than we can realize savings. 11 is for books and info resources. It's a $78,000 increase and is due to the reinstatement of the cuts that we made in 2026. So a lot of the principals and our assistant superintendent, they had to make cuts, skipping a year in the cycle of renewing educational resources, so we're putting those back. Number 12 is information access fees and software. It's a $37,000 increase, and that is basically the increase in the contracts for all of our software and digital resources. Number 13 is equipment. It's $395,000 and is due to the projects that are listed here. So as you hear when our IT director presented his budget, he is adding back the classroom projectors and smart board line that he has in the budget for those purposes. We are looking to upgrade our intercom system for the middle school, PAC, and high school. We are upgrading switches, server replacement. We also did we decreased the line for the Chromebooks, for the student Chromebooks as part of the fiscal year 2026 cut. We are looking to reinstate that because we do need the funds to provide our 6th graders and 9th graders the Chromebooks that they have every year. And then some upgrade also on the AV equipment. Number 14 is for dues and fees. That's a $10,700 dollar increase, and is increased due to athletics, music, and the memberships that we have here at the SAU for our administrators. Number 15, student and athletic activities. That's a $29,000 increase. As you hear from our athletic director, every other year he has the Hall of Fame event. So that is a portion of it. And then is the reinstatement of a couple of the activities that we have at the schools that we had to cut as part of 2016 decrease. And number 16, the last one, is the increase for the lease payment for phase 4 that was approved by the school board. So this will be the final phase of the lease and is to incorporate into the budget the payment for that final lease.
Excellent. And does anyone have any questions, discussion? Lots of questions. Go ahead, Sheila.
First question. You know, we went back and forth about, okay, what is in some of these things? And you were like, oh, you can find it right here. So the first thing was the group insurance that I was looking at. And I'm kind of confused about that because when I requested the group insurance and what the adjustment would be for with the increases, the percentage increases that you sent me, that came out to 1.346388, and that had dental and health. But what I'm seeing in the budget is 1,807,000. So there's a difference of like close to $460,000. where is that? What does that
So,
encompass?
What we provide you in that report, because what you asked for was, where are people now?
Right,
What are
right.
people
What are they taking
using
in
now, right? So we give you that and we increase what people are using now to the new rates. That's what we gave you. And the
Right.
variance between those two. What this has is the variance between last year's budget, what we actually have in the budget, and that projection of the people that are the insurance that we have now, the usage that we have now projected to next year's increases.
Right, which came out to 1.3.
Right, but that's where they are now.
Right.
Now you have to see where they are now is not where we are in the budget, right? The budget was decreased.
Sheila, it took me, I know right where
It
you
is-
are.
it
It took me
is
16
confusing.
minutes
This is
in
what I'm-
Maria's office to get to the point where I'm at right now.
Because you
so-
knew I was gonna ask that, didn't you?
Well, and I'm glad you are, but
Because I asked for that information, just to see where we would land on all that, but I didn't know if this extra 460 would be life insurance, or it would be,
it's not extra, it's two different comparisons.
understood,
Okay.
what we have now, but you're talking about taking out,
Let me try
you're
to.
not removing those positions from the budget, you're just moving the money for this year to the 1.5. So
Let-
stick with me.
Are we on health insurance or are we moving
Yeah.
this
We're on
out?
health insurance because it matters with salary and health insurance because you're still budgeting for those people for health insurance too.
No, as you saw, what we budget for health insurance is the actual people that right now are enrolled in plans. That's what we use for the budget.
So you're
So-
adding a couple $100,000 in there just to make sure you're covered. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if
Could you
what I'm
attempt-
saying is if somebody moves from a single to a family or somebody moves from a single to a +2,
The way we have done it is that way because it's so hard to know who is gonna move from single to, or from two people to having a baby now and moving to a family. I don't know how many people are gonna leave this
That's what
that
I'm
are in
saying,
family
right.
plans. So what we have done is we take what we give you, which is exactly who are here in the month of October, what plans are they using?
right?
And we increase that by the increases that Health Trust gives us, and that's what we budget for.
And Maria, to be clear, what was the increase, the total increase on the health insurance this
It's
year?
about $2 million.
Yeah.
It's about,
Percentage, what was it, 10%?
11%.
it's 11%.
12% of stuff, so you're gonna have.
So
Thank you.
this is what happened. So in the 2026 budget,
Yes.
we have 11.4
Yes.
million because we cut, as part of the $9.5 million, we cut
Right.
$1 million out
Right.
of the health insurance. We know we're not gonna have enough in that line this year to pay for health insurance. So next year, based on the numbers that we give you, we're saying, okay, now we're gonna need
1.3,
13.1. So from the 11.4 to the 13.1, that's the $1.8 million that you're seeing here as the increase.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
we'll talk more.
Yeah, I can sit down with, I can walk you through it. I know it's very
if
confusing.
nobody got that email, they should have that email so everybody has a clue to what I'm talking
Well,
about
we
because
We didn't because it's confusing and I much rather speak at it here.
right, but
and
just
let
to
you know.
see it all
Right.
was amazing to me because there are so many different plans and I was really hoping that health committee was going to do something more cohesive with these plans so that it would make your life and everybody's life just a little bit easier. I don't think one plan taking it away or adding did a lot.
No.
Because
I appreciate that you recognize that it's
That's a
difficult to
mess.
administer.
that's a mess.
And Sheila, when you're looking at the spreadsheet that Maria gave you, the 13.2 million, that is exactly what is being proposed in the 27 budget. So on page 18, of the detail.
That projection number in the spreadsheet
And that's
is
what,
that
it's
one.
exactly the same number, so what we're proposing in the 27 budget is exactly the same number. So you'll see the group insurance, you'll see the 1327.
Right,
That is exactly the number that was in the spreadsheet that you were given. That it
Because it's the people that are here now increase to what the rates are
Yes.
gonna be next year. That's the budget.
I'm gonna have to look at that email again,
Yeah.
because I took it as an increase of 1.3 million.
it was, that's over current usage.
Our current
What the
usage.
comparison is what the budget was for 25. That, so obviously what's that telling you? We're short in the budget.
Right.
So that's why there is that delta difference, is because the budget is short versus what we actually gave you for data as to what's currently being used versus what, taking what the usage is and extrapolating it and giving it the new rates. But that was the one part, cause I wanted, that is the same number that you were.
But you see what I was
I can see
You see where I
why you
was going.
question, you would thought it would have been 13, but that would be saying we had in the budget 11.9. The budget's not 11.9, it's 11.4. So that's why it's a bigger difference.
Okay. Am I still on a roll, or does somebody else have questions?
Any other discussion, questions?
How many late buses do we run?
I believe, Sheila, that we run four, I believe it's
Four,
one.
one for each town?
Yes.
So, under the transportation,
Mhm.
if I take the 500,000 out of that 994 number, that would be the contractual obligation?
Yes, the 490 is half $500,000 in increase for the contractual.
Right, for
Increase.
the next year option or
The rate
whatever it
increase,
was. Okay.
yes.
That answers that, because I couldn't look all that up and figure that one out because of the late buses and threw me right off. I tried.
We have a separate budget
I
for.
got close, I tried, but it wasn't close
transportation.
enough.
I can share with you.
The other thing was a non-affiliated.
Mhm.
Are we hiring somebody?
No, this is, I would go to the school board each year, Sheila, and request a pool of money for non-affiliated staff for
Yes.
their next contractual. I'm sure you're familiar with that
Yes.
process. That's what that is.
That went up a whole lot. Is that because
Which one, what line are you looking at?
usually it's about $80,000 a year
It's
for administrators,
It
but
is.
I have a difference of 116, right?
it's 4% of the total pool.
Exactly what line are you looking at?
I think it's 2321. If I remember correctly. Yeah. The proposed versus the actual.
So that's versus the 2025 actual, right? So the 2025 actual. Between 2025 and 2026, we had increases.
So the 26 was voted at 607,
Yeah, we had,
and now you're asking for 574.
right, so between 2025 and 2026, we had our director of student services position got combined with the director of education, special education. Do you want to speak to that?
That's exactly what.
So we have that position combined, so that position had an increase.
Okay, so that explains some things.
Then we hire also Chris Martin as our director of
Right, but she
operations.
actually took over the director of curriculum
It was
that
a
Sandy was in,
repurposed position.
repurposed
Mhm.
position, right?
Right.
But didn't she have sped at one point?
She
Not,
will-
not, Mrs. Martin.
The director of special education reported to Doc Martin.
So that 116 is part of the increase, am I
Yeah,
correct?
For that position, and you will see the decrease.
Then that makes sense to me because average is about 80,000.
Yeah.
Except for this one, and it went up.
And
that
this
amount.
year is also about
Okay.
80,000 for the 4% that Mr. Krieger said.
The lease payment, I was really confused about that when you said that. You said that they approved $1 million for phase 4 for the lease.
No, the phase 4 of the lease is about $10 million. It's the last phase, is what is remaining.
Right, but it said there was a project, something, a few slides back, there was, the school board approved $1 million for phase 4, I wrote it
Well,
down.
it's about what he said is about $1 million, what we are adding is $845,000.
So that would be the payment for all the leases up until now.
No, this is only for phase 4, so the payment for phase 2 and 3 are already in the budget. Is that
Okay.
other $1 million that's
So
in the
that's out of the
budget?
that 2 million, correct,
Exactly.
okay. So we're adding in, on top of that payment,
Another 845. So the total payment for the 3 phase of the leases will be 1,845,000. And I want to make it clear that we have not closed that phase because we're in the stage of approving the contract and everything. So I did an estimate with the latest rate that Bank of America gave me, and it's just an estimate, so it's
no,
not
that's
a-
fine, but we're getting closer to the actual amount that we're paying out. So, to me, that's good,
Yeah.
because we're using the money, that's good.
Mhm.
I think that's all I have for right now.
Thank you for bringing this things up because it's very helpful. I do appreciate all your questions. I do.
Was I was the only one, wasn't I?
No.
We don't
no.
single
There's a
people
couple
out here,
more.
Sheila. We just talk
Yeah.
about budget committee requests that
Yeah.
we received.
There's other people that reach out as well, so. But I do appreciate when you all reach out. It's very helpful. 'Cause, we're only human, we make mistakes too, so.
I was like, what is Jack?
Alright, any further discussion? Other business?
So I'm just gonna, I wanna touch on Justin's slide, there's a few back. So you're talking about the default and the proposed,
Where do you want to go here, Brian?
and you're talking about potential areas to look at for reductions.
Down.
The average budget increase from fiscal year 15 to 23 was 1.6%. 24, we had a voted budget that was a 16% increase. I know there's a lot of different factors that went into that, but it's all been rehashed many times over. This was largely responsible for Danville and Sandown property tax bills going up 30%. What we had as a result, are largely responsible for Danville and Sandown. I mean, what you saw was people coming out in blizzard to deliberative session to reduce the budget in a massive way that ultimately passed at the polls. And to your point, Justin, you're showing again a proposed budget 12%, default budget 10%. So double-digit increases on both cases. If you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think what I'm hearing from you is that if we could achieve some sort of stability in the increases, maybe not double digits, we might avoid a repeat of what happened a few months ago. So I would fully support looking at some of those options, doing so thoughtfully. But I mean, am I way off, Justin, on what you're suggesting here?
Yeah, I think you're correct in that. I think my primary concern, Brian, is that we continue to operate in this kind of boomerang fashion. I don't think that serves kids well. I don't think it serves our families well, and I don't think it's respectful to the taxpayers because they're in this constant state of uneasiness and swinging between extremes.
Sure.
So if I think my charge to you folks is if the number is not palatable to you and to what you think the community is, then this group should be having these really difficult conversations about where do our values lie? And what are we willing to do without that we currently do with? And I think that can be done responsibly, and I think we can do that together as a group. I'm willing to work with this committee to do it. I think that's the responsible kind of way forward. I think what Marie and I have done tonight is present you folks a budget that essentially kind of carbon copies our work from this year into next year. And for those of us that believe in that work, and that's the work we want to stand up on, the 11% increase is a result of a reduced budget, right?
Sure.
So one of the things I thought about is like that first budget we brought to the budget committee wasn't 82. I don't think it was 86. It was 88 or 89. So
8 and
so as I look at the increase from what we proposed last year, we're on that single digit increase. And again, to reiterate, these increases are contractually driven, right? We are not bringing new programs. We're not bringing new people here. This is us. This budget allows us to continue operations. But if we're about ready to have a conversation of values, I believe that this is the place to do that. And to have a budget come out of this group that this group can support and talk to people in the communities about the decisions that you made and the values that we placed on things. But yeah, my primary concern is living in a boomerang kind of world. I just don't think that serves anybody well. And could I foresee a boomerang if this goes? Potentially, yes. I think we could be back in the same spot. So it's either we make an argument that this is what we value and we agree with and we want for our kids and families, or we make an argument that we're going to do without some things and we have some rational debate about what that's going to look like.
And another type of value that's important to some people is home values. And, you know, the children and everything else is very important, but looking at it as a homeowner, I think it would be a hard sell in a district where transportation is a 2-mile distance, class sizes are large, no sports or cut sports, you know, that would increase home values. Let's not forget that as well.
It's an excellent point.
To that point, you have contractual obligations, absolutely, I 100% agree with that. But when I see on this, and it's little short money, so I'm gonna say it out there right now, this is little money, but it aggravates me. That I have Hall of Fame event, and we're paying for the reinstatement of D&I youth government and team building. That money for youth government is supposed to come out of student activities from the building, the principal building. That's a club. It's supposed to, it wasn't coming back to the school board anymore. It was supposed to come out of student activities. For the life of me, I do not understand why we, as taxpayers, are paying for a party for alumni that, yeah, some of the money comes back. But this is athletics. Every single team you have out there has a boosters. And every single team out there, those kids are out there fundraising.
For scholarships.
Scholarships. They're fundraising for a jacket. They're fundraising for a sweatshirt. They're fundraising for their senior banquets. That's what they're fundraising. Never mind, they also pay into the athletic council so that their insurance gets paid and their taxes get done. That all comes from these kids fundraising. But yet we're handing out $10,000 for a party that our athletic director hasn't even run a fundraiser for. I have a problem with it.
And I think this is the place to talk out that problem and see what the
And as
committee
far
thinks.
as
And where does this group place?
youth government, they used to come here every single year to the school board. Ryan Richmond would sit in those chairs and say, I need $3,500 to send my kids to Harvard for the youth government. And he'd come back the next year, oh, it went up to $4,000. This is what I need for my kids. We stopped that when we were on the board. It got sent to the building principals and it came out of the student activities. It was up to the building principals. So why this is being built into the budget
Did they do away with the club?
for a club is beyond me. Sorry. But, and I'm gonna be completely honest here,
You don't need to be sorry. You just need to speak about what you value and allow people to make
completely
decisions.
honest. My kid was a drum major, marching band. 3 years drum major. They had the Disney trip. I couldn't afford it. She didn't go. She got embarrassed in front of other kids because her mother could not afford to send her on that Disney trip as the drum major because she was a leader. It was a class. Let's not forget, band is a class. They can't afford it, they can't afford it. But I'm sorry, nobody came up to me, my kid's senior year, and said, hey, we got $3,500 for you, we're gonna sponsor your Disney trip for your kid. I'm over it. I think absolutely field trips, we should be sponsoring these kids that cannot do it. But to pay for every kid, I'm sorry. It comes to a point in time that parents need to take responsibility for their children. If the parent can't afford it, it's a hardship, pay for it. Put money in the budget for that. But we can't take responsibility for everything, for every parent, for every kid. I'm the first person to donate for the food pantry. I'm the first person to donate for the backpacks every week. But there comes a point in time where I've got $1 million house in Sandown that they can afford their kids' field trip. Sorry, pay for the kids that can't afford it.
You need to convince these people, not me.
But
This is
that's where I'm coming from.
I hear you.
Transportation, I want them picked up at their driveway.
That costs money.
But contractual obligation wise, we're $500,000 above. We're adding in for what we lost out. There was really,
And we're considering where we're projecting for this year.
You're gonna be in the hole.
That's also informing what we are proposing for 27. Hope everyone in this committee understands and is
I'm not
mindful
sure
of that.
everybody does.
No, I think maybe we can talk a little bit about current situation with the current budget and where we are with cash flow and our current obligations. Do we have a minute to do that, Maria? Do you have that information, or maybe
I
we
will-
save that for next
I
time?
would like to bring it next time so you all can
Okay.
look at it and we can, and like Mr. Krieger said, that's what we're presenting to the school board next Thursday. So if you want to, again, I can bring that material to this next meeting
21st,
because we're gonna start, and we're gonna,
Monday.
we're working on a cash flow report with Lisa that we're gonna be presenting every month because we are worried about, we're tight in cash this year. We do not have, last year, there's another report here that you have that has the actuals. I did include the actuals for the food service and the grants because those are in the budget. So I included the actuals for that. And if you look at the increase between the 24 actual and the 25 actual, excluding the 3 million that we prepaid for the lease, it's a 10% increase between 24 and 25 actual. It was a 10% increase in the actuals
An 11.9% increase in the proposed budget a year out.
for another year. So when you look at the 25 actual here is 86 million because again, I added the food service and the grants because we have 2 lines in the budget for food service and for grants. So when you look at the 86 million, you take out the $3 million for the prepayment of the lease. When you compare that to the 75.4 million in 2024, that's a 10% increase in actual expenses. This is not budget, this is actual expenses.
Peter, did you have a question or a statement?
A question and a comment. Comment first. With respect to the athletic alumni recognition dinner, I don't know what it's
Hall of
called.
Fame dinner.
Hall of Fame dinner. Now, I understand why colleges do that kind of thing, because those are fundraising events. They're twisting people's arms to donate money to those schools. I mean, one organization that does that, and then very similarly. But we can't do that. There's gonna be nobody who comes up and says, Justin, I'm gonna give you $100,000 donation. It's just, so at this level, I just think it's not reasonable, okay? Second thing is, looking at this page, which I think is a really good page, is there any way that you can come up with estimates of what will we, like, I'm gonna start with transportation. What will we save, what do we believe we can save with regional stops? What could we save with 1 mile distance? I look at Pollard School in Plastow. If you look at a 2 mile distance, that's the whole town. Except for North Main Street, I think. So that's really eliminating elementary transportation for the town, but maybe a smaller, smaller area. And I know you can't do that tonight, but
Appreciate you recognizing that.
in the future,
Yeah, and Peter, I think the whole point of this generalized kind of buckets was to get direction. If you want to dig into any of these areas, Marie and I will dig into it and bring back some specifics and attach dollars to these things.
capital, we're so far behind the curve now in deferred maintenance through this district. Personally, I can't see us rationally doing anything in that bucket. So, but I know, those are the only comments I really wanted to make.
Thank you. Sue?
Yeah, and I have a little bit different, I think, having worked on capital stuff, it breaks my heart, but boy, I would take that bucket over increasing class sizes because it affects kids, or taking electives away from the secondary level because it affects kids. I would rather take capital away, or the phase 4 lease payment. But how much is that gonna really impact to get this to a palatable level to the voters that came out in a snowstorm and really took a big hunk, and we're trying to make up, and we're losing, and that boomerang effect every year because of that. So I think it should be capital if I were gonna take anything.
Sabrina?
To piggyback off what Sue said too, is I think it's important for everyone to know that we are backpedaling in some of these expenses, that a lot of these slots, we don't have the money to pay for the things that we have to pay for. So I think that's important for people to understand that, these big jumps are to cover what we're already lacking. And also, with things as far as, that slide disappeared, as far as like transportation, right? Is there a way to like look at things, for instance, transportation, could we look at it, maybe the older grades, right? Like the secondary level, could they maybe get a stop as opposed to the little kids that are getting on the bus, right? Where them walking to the end of the street to all get on the bus, right? I have a bus stop at my house every day and I don't have any kids that take a bus, right? So is there a way to maybe, those little kids, it's a little different, right? Like I live in Danville, we don't have sidewalks, right? We don't want little kids out there in the dark waiting or whatever, the secondary schools might be a little bit different to look at, and maybe trying to, as a thing, I don't know if 2 miles, I have no idea, but I'm just saying maybe that's a thing to do. But I have to also, it's a tough thing because when we look at all the electives for class sizes and these curriculums and stuff, right? These are what's taking these kids in the secondary schools to college, right? All these things are what have taken these kids to college. And I know, I have people in the music, so I can say for all these kids that have come out, and I'm sure you all have seen them, that are pursuing music careers, and they're going to college for music, and they're doing different things. That's just one example, because this kid's doing it for athletics too. That's just my own personal experience.
Or at, or.
Right, exactly. So I think like looking at electives, and we've lost a lot of electives, right? And we've cut a lot of electives. And I do agree to a point where, some things are, if your kid can't afford it, unfortunately, there's some things that not everyone can do everything, right? And I agree to that. And that's why for, the secondary, we have like the music association, right? Where you can fundraise as much as you can fundraise, we give you those opportunities. If family sees them, then they can use them to go on trips. They can use them for lessons. They can use them, you know, to go to all states, right? So that gives an opportunity for these kids, you know, but as far as, you know, the boosters, they're limited on things that they can fund too, because there's only so much money in everyone's pockets that's given out, right? So that's just my take on, you know, as far as like these extracurriculars and these secondaries, I think that, you know, these are really, and these electives are really what's helping our kids to go to college, because it's not cheap right now.
I mean, I'd love to find some ways to cut on transportation. Some things to probably think about, though, the no sidewalks in some towns.
Yeah.
And then the New England weather. So like thinking about Plastow probably has sidewalks. But of like those 81 kids that are Title I, we know that means they're low income. What is their transportation like? Are they able to get to school in inclement weather? You know what I mean? And then the impact of the car drop off and pickup line for staffing, because I know that that is a duty, right? But still they're supposed to be able to leave at a certain time. And I know in most of the schools that is not the case. So how would that impact that duty for those teachers if there's an extra 50 kids getting picked up and dropped off? And would we have to compensate them for that, or do they, you know?
I don't have an answer for that question,
Okay,
but I
I
think
just
it's a
like,
good,
because
it's a
I'd
good
love to cut down on the
example.
buses. I just think that logistically it's not the easiest. I live very close to the school and in Atkinson. And sometimes I do try to walk with my kids, and sometimes I do think we're going to die because there are no sidewalks.
that's a
I'm
tough
so
walk.
close. Yeah, we used to try to ride bikes, but now we can't even do that because people are on their phones. And then the older kids, for sure, I think that there's a way to cut down on the buses, but it is dark also.
Yeah.
So then you have to think about that. There are no streetlights in
There are no
right?
streetlights
Your
in
town.
Rutland.
So
I on the surface, I appreciate you recognizing like whatever changes are gonna happen, there are ripples that
yeah,
kind of go
I just
out
want to.
that.
Some people don't have kids that might not be fresh on your mind to think about these aspects. Come to the car pickup line, and you'll see what I mean about how it would add to the staff's day.
And just because like I don't use transportation, like it's important for a lot of people to
yeah,
get there,
that's
right?
it.
But there has to be a way. And I know we've kind of visited this with First Student before, and they kind of give us like this general map that they pull out of Google Maps. And then it's our thing to kind of put together the hills, the turns, the dips, and all that other good stuff. But I mean, we got buses stopping at houses when nobody's at, right? There's a bus that comes down my street, picks up one person. And and all the buses go down, there's one person on my street. And there's kids on my whole street's full of kids, right? This is just a street with car riders, right? But is there a way to identify those neighborhoods and say, we have, you know, let's take Heron Drive in Danville. We got 10 kids going between all 3 schools. Is there a way to identify that neighborhood and say, in this neighborhood, we don't need all these stops? I have no idea. I don't know how that works, and if it's a way to pinpoint the neighborhoods on who's using them and who's not. I have no idea if that's realistic.
So I think though the transportation conversation is good and we look at capital, that those don't have people, that is not gonna make up the 9 million.
No,
Right.
So I think what this group needs to really look at is that at the end of the day, school is gonna open, we're gonna have kids come through those buildings. What do you want it to look like?
This is the question.
Yeah.
Do we wanna fundamentally change what the district looks like? Because the edges, we can do some edge work here, but it's not, to Katie's point, that's not gonna be $9 million. So it's a question of fundamentally changing or not.
And super important to remember that the vast majority, the biggest chunks of this budget are salaries and benefits, right? So, and they're contractual, right? All of it's contractual, and these increases were voted in by the citizens, right? We all supported these raises for our teachers. So it's difficult to make these calls.
To the slide's point, a lot of what you're saying, Justin, is not really within our purview. Changing programming, class sizes, that's a school board thing, and we can't try to usurp that authority.
Correct. And I don't mean to be doing that, and I hope that that's not what folks are taking here. But this group does control the purse, and what the school board has as a purse to operate. If we make reductions, we got to think about it responsibly in these categories, because that's the real decisions on the other end that these folks are gonna make.
But the school board can say no to those and redistribute those cuts.
But we've been in communication with Justin with all this, and we've already seen that these are the buckets that we're looking at.
Right, but
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's bottom line, we can do with
Right.
it as we, yes.
Right.
I see what you're saying, yes.
And I guess maybe I rephrase is, this group should think about, are you gonna fundamentally change the amount of bucket money you give to the school board to operate people and programs? Right, that's what this
Pretty
group
much
is.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because it can get moved. Bottom line budget, they can move anything they want.
They can. But
Well,
and a reduction's a
we'll come to them
reduction,
and
it's
ask
gonna
them to
reduce
move
from
things over.
somewhere.
But the board and the superintendent understand that we cannot operate as we are with less. So things will change. How it changes, we'll get there when we get there.
And this group should have a fairly sensible idea of what the decisions it makes, what impact it's gonna have on the actual changes that take place.
Sabrina?
And it's important for towns to look at too, you know, in Danville, right, we cut the school and our taxes went up, right? Because we had to fund the fire department and the new ambulance and stuff like that, right? So I think it was kind of eye-opening for taxpayers as we took this huge cut, right? And saw, hey, our taxes just went up, but we just cut the school, right? It's not all coming from the school. The towns have a lot of things, you know, when Exeter Hospital was bought by Beth Israel, and then there was all kinds of things that kind of funneled down the streams that hit the towns, right? So, you know, this is not the only line that's affecting our taxes, you know, and I think that's important for all
But
taxpayers.
if it was 91, the number it was at 89, you would have added $2 more.
But there's other things on our taxes that it's not
Understood.
just a school,
But what
you
I'm
know.
saying is if it was 89,
I'm
your
not
bill would
saying
have
any,
been probably $1.50 more than it
I'm
is
just
now.
making a point that this is not the only driver on our taxes. It's not the only driver. And I think that this becomes a huge focus and it's an important focus, I agree. It's a very big focus, but there's also things that people didn't even know the ambulance service took place. People were like, what ambulance service? What happened, right? Because, you know, the people that live in town are focused on just certain things and there's all these other things happening within the town, right? You know, that nobody else knows what's happening. You know, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where did that come from?
Ouch.
Right. Because I do think a lot of Danville residents thought they were gonna get this huge cut when their taxes came, right? Because what happened with the school and then your taxes went up and everyone was like, what just happened?
Sue?
Let me see if I got this straight in my mind. And the snowstorm is a massive reduction, in my humble opinion, a massive cut. It got voted on. School board and administration had to figure out where they were gonna cut. Here we are now, getting close to December, and we know we're running behind. Is that correct? Is that a fallacy?
I think it's an accurate statement.
An accurate statement. We have a cash flow problem? We have a problem.
We're monitoring our cash flow.
We're monitoring. What's gonna happen if it gets cut again? So we propose a budget, we're so far behind now, we cut more money out. What happens? Are we Claremont?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't get it. It was a massive cut, and I don't know why it was that big a cut. I was home in a snowstorm.
They had the votes.
They had the votes,
It
but
was
did
a
they have the
$16
ration?
million surplus, Sue. That's what did it.
I know,
You want the God's honest truth?
yeah.
That's what picked off people. And last year, if you do the math correctly, on the MS-24, including the revenue, it was about 11 million that came off the total. You add back in that 42, your guesstimate that happened in December last year at 15 million was completely right. You were right on the money. So 16 million, if you add it back in, 15 million. That's what upset people. Because
Don't
there's
they look
money out
further down the
there.
road, Sheila, that now, how are we we're just gonna keep
Susan,
changing our,
people's taxes went up 30%.
uh-huh,
They couldn't afford it. You had people in our towns losing their houses. because of that. And then to find out, you got a $16 million surplus back. When you were on the school board, the biggest surplus we had was $4 million.
Yep.
16 million is a big hit to take.
All right, so we went through the unassigned fund balance a lot last year. I think most of us understand how we got there
Right.
and the reason behind it. It was unfortunate, but it happened, right? We are here tonight to talk about this budget, right? Nothing in the past. We can use our past experience to inform our decisions, right? But we don't need to hash out the past here.
The past influences the present.
It does.
Karen, what happened last year and the situation this school board and administration is in right now is having a huge impact
Yes.
on the decisions we have to
That's
make.
why I'm saying we let the things that we've experienced in the past inform our decisions on the current budget. I just don't wanna go back in time here. Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? Excellent. All right. Well, if we have no further discussion, I would like to hear a motion to accept the operating budget for review.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
She's in the ladies' room, I think.
Oh, we'll wait. Oh, we can wait.
She didn't get cut.
How bad was your reassessment? I mean, that number looks pretty, but how,
Mine, personally,
for the plastow, but
mine,
it's,
mine was personally up 25 or 26%.
Yeah.
But that's okay because the tax rate has gone down
right,
by
But it
a lot
evens
more
out.
than that. So actually, my total taxes, I believe, are going down. I don't know why.
27%.
But I also know people who
theirs went up,
there's
like
one up.
crazy.
Is it- Again, my assessment, my assessed value of the house went up 25, 26%. But I know people's houses went up 50%.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it seemed like most of those were smaller homes and condos. And I have a larger home, and it was, maybe it was because it was
close to assessment as it was, yeah,
closer to right. Again, that's an assumption.
right.
Catherine, we were waiting on a vote for you.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry.
So we had a motion and second
I have no idea.
to
I put my hand up while you
review
didn't
the proposed budget,
To accept,
to accept for review
Oh,
the
yes.
proposed
Sounds
budget of number here,
92.
$92,098,476. All in favor?
It's actually 475.74
Did I-
if you look at the bottom of the expenditures. I just wanna make sure it's right.
I'm sorry,
You're off by $1.
I'm off by $1.
It rounds on those
Sound like a big difference.
sheets.
Oh, can you just rattle off that number, actual number, please, Heather?
92
That'll get
million,
us right out.
98,475,
Four-
74.
7574. Thank you, I appreciate it. So, once more, the proposed budget,
Again?
yeah, I have to say the number.
That's right,
In its
that's right.
entirely, in its entirety.
Small.
$92,098,475.74. There we go. All in favor? 4, 6, 7. All opposed? None? Abstentions? We are good. Excellent. And we also have to do we do them individually, the positions, or all three? Individually. Okay, thanks for the procedural. Let's see. Let's find those pages. There we go.
Oh, you need a motion?
Yes,
Karen?
please. Yes.
I'm sorry. You wanna do one at a time?
Yes, please.
So let's start with the sped facilitator, TTA sped facilitator. Make a motion to accept the request for the position of the TTA sped facilitator.
Increasing to.
Increase on the amount.
to 10.
Oh,
in the
you need
last
the
line.
amount,
In the last line.
last line.
Total,
Where is that listed, because it's not listed.
26,000.
You on the right one?
You're on the right one.
The sped facilitator doesn't have an amount.
It doesn't give an amount.
yeah,
Bringing
the,
this potential total to 197 days from 187 days.
With a total
It is.
salary
Oh, it is,
increase
it
of,
is.
Oh, it's not on yours.
He gave the wrong one.
I gave you the wrong one. Total salary of $26,232.69.
awesome,
can we also add in there, it's 5 positions?
yes,
It's for 5 positions.
I don't think,
5 positions.
She
The
said
5
positions.
special ed facilitators, yes.
okay,
I'll second.
thank you. All in favor? 6 in favor, all opposed, 1 opposed, and no abstentions.
This is for review, correct?
This is all for review.
Make a motion to accept for review the out-of-district coordinator at an annual salary of $97,135.90, so that will increase her salary an additional days, $17,038.59.
I'll second that.
Have a second, all in favor? 4 in favor, all opposed? 3 opposed? No abstentions? We have 1 more position.
I'll make a motion to take under advisement the senior technology specialist, increase to reflect the position change. That would be $21,847.49.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? 5 in favor, all opposed? 2 opposed? Abstentions? And that is our final piece, I believe. Unless we have any further discussion? Yes?
Karen, just to reiterate for budget committee members that if you've got things that you would like Marie and I to prepare for the next meeting, just give us please an email. Please include the chair and vice chair so they're up to speed about what will be presented. But please let us know what further information and details we can bring back to help your discussion.
Justin, you said you're gonna share this presentation.
This presentation and the other 4 things that I reviewed
Gotcha.
earlier in the evening.
Right.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
I have one more question. I don't know if you have the answer. What do we have in the capital reserve right now?
800.
Give me a second.
About $1 million, is it?
Actually, hold on, I have it in the.
I'm just curious what's in there that,
$840,000, I believe it is. Give me 1 second.
You thinking about a good idea, Sheila?
I'm trying. We're attempting something.
Oh, it's actually, I'm sorry, I had the numbers.
Yeah, I know I
Because it's
texted.
488.
488.
That's,
It wasn't 844, it was 488, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
188,376.
Can I ask one more question? Did we hear anything on the grant for the Belfry? The second money that we were looking for the Belfry for Atkinson?
Yeah, we did not,
The second time around, we didn't get it
No.
either.
We
Second time.
didn't get it the second
No.
time.
We
Okay.
got a smaller grant from New Hampshire.
No, I knew the first one we didn't get, but we were waiting on the second one.
Yeah,
That was like
No, we didn't
right
get
around
it.
now, right? We didn't get it. Okay. It's easy. Thank you.
Excellent. So the next regular meeting will be on Monday, November 24th at 7 PM here. I will not be present for that meeting. If, I know it's busy, the holidays, if anyone can't make it, shoot an email, let's a couple days in advance if possible so that we can make adjustments if needed. And if we have nothing further, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:46 p.m.
Justin, did you happen to stack on one of the recent board meetings?